In early 2018, I started to see a new headlamp making its way into the Ultralight forums and into the UL subreddit, and my curiosity was piqued. It seemed to offer a perfect compromise between weight and functionality, and it's a pretty sharp design too. Now, Nitecore is primarily a flashlight brand, and it certainly doesn't have the cachet that a Petzl or Black Diamond does with headlamps, and to be honest, most flashlight brands that make headlamps do it pretty poorly. But this one seemed to be a little bit different, and I figured I would give it a try, so I ordered one, and I've been testing it ever since. Enter the Nitecore NU25. So you've probably read the title of the video now, and I don't think it's a big spoiler when I say that I really like this headlamp. It's become my go-to favorite headlamp, and I would highly recommend it. In the rest of the video, I'll kind of show you the details of the headlamp and why I like it so much, but basically it's just a perfect compromise between lightweight, complete functionality, and just ease of use. So let's get into the details of it. Alright, let's start with a few quick stats. This is a USB rechargeable headlamp with a lithium-ion battery. It has 3 main LEDs, a high output Cree LED for the main one, a secondary high CRI LED for the white flood, and a third red LED for the red flood mode. For all you lumen counters out there, here is a chart breaking down the different outputs and the run times of the headlamp, and later in the video I'll show you what these look like in real life. But basically, on a more practical level, I use this headlamp mostly on the medium setting, which is 38 lumens, which gives me 8 hours of runtime, which is more than enough to through hike or go on a weekend trip with. And on that mode, I can night hike with it, I can navigate around camp. I set it onto the low mode if I'm just looking for a water bottle in the night or reading. And then I obviously use the red light mode as well around people or when I just want to preserve my night vision. Sometimes I turn it on high if I'm trying to find an animal or something, but it's pretty rare. So there's plenty of runtime on this headlamp, and the modes are all more than bright enough from what I've seen. The red light mode you see here has a low mode and a high mode. The high mode you could definitely night hike by, so if you really needed to save battery, that is an option as well. So one thing you may have seen already is that this headlamp has 2 buttons, one to control white light modes and one to control red light modes. And while that may seem redundant, I find that this feature is incredible because there's nothing worse than just fiddling with your headlamp and pushing, holding, double tapping, triple tapping, trying to figure out how to switch through the modes. Having these 2 separate buttons makes it very easy. You literally just tap the white one until you find the mode you need, or hold it for flood, and tap the red one until you find the mode you need, or hold it to check the battery life, which is another cool feature. And you can see the battery life here based on how many flashes this little red light does on top of the headlamp. Despite having all of these awesome features, this headlamp is actually extremely lightweight too. So you can see the main body of the headlamp comes in at 1 ounce or 29 grams. And if I have a complaint about this headlamp, it's that the stock head strap is way too heavy. It brings the headlamp up to 53 grams or 1.9 ounces, which is almost double the original weight. I suggest checking out my previous video that I posted, which will show you how to make a custom head strap that only adds a few grams. So you can see here, total weight now is 1.1 ounces or 32 grams. That is not bad for a headlamp like this. And yeah, I've tried the Black Diamond Iota, I've tried the Petzl E Plus Light, which are 2 of the more common ultralight headlamps, and in my opinion this thing blows those out of the water. It's way more functional. I actually own both of those other lights, and I find myself grabbing this light every single time. It's light enough, and yet it doesn't compromise on anything. This is low. You can almost make out those trees. That's about 15 feet away. But there's a spot that you can night hike by if you had to save battery. Medium. Not too bad. I'd say that tree is about 30 feet away. And high. Well, that's pretty bright. It's got really good throw. But it's not a bad flood. You could definitely night hike even on low mode. It's just not easy to pick up on this camera. Well, that's red low. There's red high. Actually, that shows up pretty well. So red high, both of the red lights are flood modes, but you could definitely night hike by them, and they save a lot of battery. I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. All of these have been set at ISO 25600 ISO, so they should be fairly consistent and actually represent brightness somewhat well. Alright, so those are the real world conditions, and keep in mind my camera is not the best low light camera, so what you're seeing there is a fair representation, but it's actually going to be a little bit brighter than what my camera picked up. You can see here just how easy it is to recharge the headlamp. You just plug it into your battery pack or to the wall, and the red light stays on and it turns green once it's been charged. Easy peasy. One final quick little trick to show you before the video ends is how you can lock this headlight. So if you press both of the top buttons at once, it will actually lock the headlamp so the buttons can't activate it. So if it's in your pack knocking around, it's not going to accidentally turn on. And then if you press both again, it'll unlock it and turn on the headlamp. Well, the video is winding down, but please stick with me to the end because I've got a new segment to premiere and I think you're going to like it. Alright, let's wrap up this review with the one thing I haven't covered yet, which is price point. And I have to say, I think this headlamp represents an extremely good value. Compared to the more expensive Petzl and Black Diamond headlamps, you're actually getting a lot more for your money, and it's cheaper. Right now on Amazon, the headlamp is hovering around $37 shipped, which is pretty sweet. And as always, I'll leave a link in the video description and comments, so if you do pick up this headlamp through my link, you'll be supporting the channel and I would greatly appreciate it. So, wrapping up everything, long story short, I mean, this headlamp is awesome. I've tried a lot of different headlamps in my time, and this one has hit that rare trifecta of form, function, and value, which is kind of rare in the ultralight world. And it works well and it's easy to use. That's all there really is to say about it. Alright, well that wraps up the main video, but now I'd like to introduce a new segment that I'll hopefully be adding to all of my future videos. Basically, this is a user-submitted segment. So if you've been working on a cool MYOG project lately and you want to share it, or if you've just been off hiking some really cool trails and have some cool pictures to share, send them to me at backcountrybanter@gmail.com and I will share them at the end of my videos. I'm hoping to create more of a community here where we can all see what everyone else is up to, get inspired to take on a new project, or just to get out and find a new trail. But yeah, send them to me and I'll share them. Here's what I have so far. Enjoy.